Miss Bag Lady, Little Messiah, Little Miss hire them hoes, then fire them. Nah, but seriously, everyone is talking about quiet luxury and how it's becoming toxic and how, it's a wardrobe requirement. But true luxury has nothing to do with clothes, in my opinion, because I feel like I've been living it. As far as navigating business decisions, realizing the systems that mean nothing if your system is shot. And when I say your system, I mean your nervous system. If you're going through so much internally, no matter what you're presenting on the outside, it won't matter. If you're trying to, walk in that true luxury, that quiet luxury, if you're trying to walk into that, anything that you have on the outside externally doesn't really matter if your insides is shot. You understand? So setting up a pretty bath, putting on neutral loungewear, or buying like high-end products, none of that means anything if you don't have inner peace. And I understand what it's like to have inner peace, and I understand what it's like to have that inner peace messed with and people trying to take it from you. And that, only comes from their own insecurities and, projections and things like that. And when you're dealing with people who are trying to project these things onto you, you must understand first, every battle is not yours to fight. That's one. And these people, like, you have to look at this from a simulation point. These people are like agents of the system. You understand? These people are, you could call them your watchers. And they're there to help you elevate. You can't see it from a space of, oh, they're trying to cause destruction in my life. They're, in the background doing things to me. That's gonna happen, especially if you naturally carry a quiet luxury presence. Now, for me, I naturally carry a quiet luxury presence my entire life. I wasn't aware of it. I had to move out of my hometown, and I started to see how people reacted to me. At first, I used to think there was something wrong with me because I didn't have a lot of friends. A lot of people didn't like me for no reason. I felt like I didn't fit in, but a lot of people knew me. And at the same time, I felt like I resonated with a lot of different groups. So growing up, I was a part of a lot of different friend groups because I like to do different things. So I always navigated in life with, you know, just having these separate friend groups whenever I wanted to do certain activities. And to me, that was always an advantage. Even doing things alone, that was always an advantage for me because it gave me more opportunities. I didn't have to worry too much about the competition or people being too jealous of me, even though that's going to happen naturally. You're not going to fit in, especially if you have a celebrity frequency. Um, Once you realize how your presence affect others, you do not look at yourself like there's something wrong. Yes, we are always working on ourselves and we're always navigating to try to fit in our environments, and that's okay because sometimes we have to do that just to survive it. But at the same time, you have to realize that people are reacting from your presence. So you have all that power, you understand, to do what you please. People are going to try to stop you, but that's because you are somebody. You are meant to do something in this world. You have a purpose. They have a purpose. Their purpose probably is to try to stop you. But you have to strengthen your spiritual life as well with God, and, get closer to Him. And He will also help you navigate and protect you. You understand? Because no one that is dealing with the type of destruction that someone with quiet luxury actually has, the presence they have, they're not dealing with that type of destruction. Someone who has all the materials on the outside, they have all the friends, all the support, they're not actually carrying the real quiet luxury frequency within them. The saying, not everyone is cut from the same cloth. And that's a real saying, because a lot of people feel like they could just wear quiet luxury. You can't just wear quiet luxury. You could have on all Kanye stuff. You understand? And I like Kanye, but I'm just going to use him as an example because of his brand is a quiet luxury brand. And people talked about it a lot, said it looked like homeless, for homeless people, but then it became trendy. So his brand is like quiet luxury. And you see how people treat him now. They call him crazy and all of that. But at the same time, wearing that is not going to cover up who you are on the inside. I've been around a lot of people, all my friends from the past, family members, they all had nice things. They all had the American dream. But internally, they were always battling with something. And I know this because they would always come to me. I would always try to help them. And, a lot of people don't like to look at themselves. And I totally understand, because there's things about ourselves that we do not like. There's things about ourselves that we can't handle because we think we're good people, or, for whatever reasons we tell ourselves. So a lot of people, they just struggle with, looking at themselves. Now, also, quiet luxury is not about, okay, I'm going to build myself internally and then I'm going to go shopping and buy this, force this life that I'm supposed to have. It's not about forcing anything. That urgency of trying to live this life and wanting things to happen overnight, that comes from an insecurity of feeling left behind, of feeling like you should have been where you needed to be, on social media, looking at other people's lives and showing, they're showing you basically that their lives blew up overnight. No one's lives ever blow up overnight. It only seems that way. And I want to use Doechii as an example. That's why I recited her part in the beginning of this video, because that song is a perfect depiction of success. People think she is, she's a plant, an industry plant. And she's been working. It's just that nobody has not seen it. And this is what she's displaying in the song. She's been working in the background. And now that we see her and it seems like she just blew up overnight, everyone thinks she's just an industry plant. She does coke. She's a drug addict. She's this, she's that. I've heard these same exact things about myself. I'm a drug addict. You know, I'm doing all this weird stuff for money. And people would see me every day, watch me every day. They know I'm to myself. They don't even see me with people. You know what I mean? And yeah, I might smoke weed. I might have smoked weed. You might have seen me smoking weed. That doesn't mean I'm a drug addict. You know what I mean? Just like with Dochi. Not saying that doing coke is a good thing, but maybe that's what she prefers to do to relax. You understand? It doesn't mean she's an addict. Um, it's never easy carrying the celebrity frequency. That's why a lot of them have become addicts, like Lil Wayne. And I use Lil Wayne because I grew up on listening to Lil Wayne. And I've seen how things have affected him from back then to now. Even with Nicki Minaj. Same thing. They say she's a drug addict. She's this, she's that. People always trying to copy her because she's the blueprint. They always want to get the original out the way so that everyone else is comfortable with wearing your frequency, you know? And again, it's hard navigating this frequency when you're around a bunch of people who haven't even reached their brain can't even comprehend that yet. They're not even there yet. And again, some are agents, so they're meant to be here to make sure you don't elevate, but you have to push through that. Now with Doechii, again, she's been working in the background quietly. And then, as I said, pray, wait, and trust. God comes through. And it may seem like it's going to happen overnight, but it never happens overnight. That's what I want to say. It never happens overnight. People have been working. It's just that everything was happening quietly. You don't have to rush. You don't got to force nothing. You don't have to panic in the process. You stay consistent. Number one, when people say stay consistent, they really mean it. Because when you stay consistent, you are... Now, I'm about to give y'all some real information that a lot of people don't really tell you on how the simulation works and manifestation works and things like that. Now, we are living in a simulation regardless of whatever you believe. This is a simulation. And in order to, no matter what life you live in, you could be in poverty. You could have nothing but pennies right now. You could change the code of that poverty simulation. All you have to do is stay consistent on whatever path you're trying to go to. Now, say you want to, become rich, famous. You want to be on all the blogs. You just stay consistent in that. Whether you're on TikTok every day, you stay consistent on TikTok. You're not going to blow up overnight. But it will happen eventually. You cannot talk yourself out of doing it. Just get up every day and do it. You understand why you're working on yourself internally? Because you see a lot of people who become successful and I'm not talking about one-hit wonders or anything like that. I'm talking about people who are able to attract a lot of money and then they lose it fast, or they keep ending back into poverty and struggling, and that comes from a space of not dealing with yourself internally, not understanding what money really is, not understanding how to keep that simulation that you're trying to gain all this public recognition from. You have to stay in that simulation, because if you don't, the prior simulation, it'll just come back and override it, because this is a computer simulation. So it's always running. Something's always running. If you're not dealing with yourself internally, then that old simulation is always going to be there. It'll be easier to just, snap back into who you were. You must pray. People don't want to believe in God because there's no physical evidence, and then they're always talking about people overwriting the Bible. Just pray to God. That's it. Just keep praying. What I do is what I started when I was coming out of survival mode. Um, I downloaded the Bible app. I downloaded a pink Bible app because that makes me feel feminine. It makes me feel closer to God in a feminine way where it helps me enjoy it. Because for a lot of people, it's not easy going to God. Now, read that Bible. The Bible app will send you a notification throughout the day, and it will also give you a scripture in the morning and at night. You read those scriptures in the morning and at night, and the more you do it, the more it will connect with you in every decision that you're making every single day. I also recommend frequencies, listening to frequencies on YouTube. I listen to that because it helps clear my mind. Um, and, it just helps me not worry too much about everything that's going on. Because, we're all dealing with our own life situations. Um, don't stay cooped up in the house, in the bed all day. Make sure you get fresh air. Whether you're going to the gym, whether you're just outside to get fresh air, just stay patient, and staying patient will bring far more alignment than forcing a result. There's been many times where I forced a result, and I've gotten good results. Don't get me wrong, but it always crashes, or internally, I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied. And that's because at the time, internally, I was dealing with something, maybe my own insecurities, or, maybe feeling like all my peers are way ahead of me and I'm not. But people dealing with themselves is one of the most hardest things you can ever do. And this is me speaking from experience. I had to come to terms with my most darkest parts because I was already in tune with my most lightest parts that were getting taken advantage of. Because I didn't have no boundaries. I didn't even understand what boundaries were until I was about 25. I started to ask myself, what are boundaries? I never had any. And it was because how I grew up. Now, quiet luxury as well. I realized it from my grandmother. And yes, quiet luxury, people measure that up to clothing brands and things like that. And I get it. And my grandmother did have a lot of nice things, but they were never big brands. You understand? But they were local luxury items that you probably couldn't find anywhere else. That's what I would say. And I feel like I learned a lot from that. Within presence, my grandmother could walk in anywhere, and her presence, her authority, would just shift the whole room. That used to happen to me. I used to really think there was something wrong with me because why is everyone staring at me? What did I do? To the point where I would look around because I'm like, what? Is there something going on that, that I need to know about? I didn't understand how powerful I was, how my presence carried that much authority. And having that power and authority is not for everyone because we see every day how people use that and they use it to their advantage and it becomes extremely toxic. So, I'm a humble person. I just want to show others how to use their authority and their presence in a way that helps them forget everybody else. Just worry about you. Um, Stop focus on looking apart and focus on being in a state of unshakable ease. I'm talking about you have to get to a point where nothing gets to you. And I see online where people talking about Lexapro or something that people are taking. I haven't really did any um diving into what that was, but I see how people are talking about Lexapro and how it makes people non-reactive to any and everything. Imagine being that way without needing anything, without needing weed, alcohol, any type of drugs, any Lexapro, anything. Imagine being in that type of authority with none of that. That's a different type of power. You understand? That's a different type of authority. You could shift any room. It's a celebrity frequency. And I am going to talk about that in my next video, the celebrity frequency, and how I've spoken with celebrities, and it's almost like they freeze up on talking to me because they don't expect my frequency to be just as high as them. Now, a lot of people get so crazy over celebrities and excited and don't know how to act because it's a different type of frequency. It's a frequency they've never been around before. And being like that in a regular environment is not for everybody. You cannot be like that in a regular environment. Some people are going to understand and be like, okay, and other people are going to hate so hard, you might question yourself. Yes, they're going to try to tarnish your character because they need to dim you down as much as you can because they don't understand what that is. It's a frequency that you carry. You know how many times, like where I live at, I have security in my building and they know I'm coming before I even open the door, right? They could feel me before I'm even there. That's how strong the frequency is. That's how a lot of, celebrities are. They carry this frequency that is just out of this world. And I know it because I feel it when I'm talking to them. I'm like, wow, their frequency is so high. You understand? But you can't dim yourself either. You got to stay in your own frequency as well. Because they could feel that frequency coming from you and they could use that. Energy harvesting, which I'm not going to get too deep into. Because here I just want to show people how to navigate in the quiet luxury and why quiet luxury isn't just about brands. So protecting your peace, honor the season that you're in, no matter what. Now, the season that I was in prior to this was one of the worst seasons that I've ever been in. And I've had a lot of up and down seasons. And this season it was very difficult because I was dealing with a lot of things I've never dealt with before. But understanding God is understanding that you have to endure, because if you can't endure, you're not going to actually be ready to stand in that frequency, no matter how much you carry it. So you have to endure. You have to show God that you can handle it. If you can't handle it, you'll stay stuck in that poverty mindset, in that quiet luxury, being just about brands mindset. You'll stay stuck in that instead of seeing what the world is truly about. I'm not saying be a woke individual and go to the depths of hell to figure out this world. No. I'm just saying how to navigate through the simulation in a way where you can enjoy it for the rest of your life. People are always talking about manifesting this, manifesting that. Manifesting does happen quickly when you change something. It does. but not all the time, because sometimes you have to wait for the simulation to catch up to your change. Because sometimes you could change for a week and then go back to your old self. And that's what messes up that simulation, that frequency, that keeps it easy to put you in poverty again. It'll keep you shifting back and forth until you choose which one you want. Do you want the successful frequency where you change the direction of your life? Or when people say you want to stay comfortable in the life that you're living? It's hard to get out of the life that you're comfortable living, especially with all this crazy stuff going on. So that's my message for today. My next video, hopefully it'll be about the celebrity frequency. I want to get deep into that and how you can navigate that within you, or you know how to be around others with that frequency without hating or without feeling a weird way that you can't explain, you know. So that's it. That's for today. You guys have a good one and subscribe for more.